Hello and thank you for joining us for this edition of Scope. PNG's most populous province of Morobe, whose capital city is the nation's industrial hub, is suffering from a stressed-out health system. The COVID-19 pandemic has shone a harsh light on a system that has been neglected for years. The many cracks in the health sector only widened with the surge in cases. This is why the phrase "on the verge of collapse" has been synonymous with PNG's health system.
Papua New Guinea survived the first wave of COVID-19 in March 2020. A year later, cases have tripled with an increasing number of health workers getting infected. Manpower shortage was already an existing problem in the health system. The high infection rate only worsened the situation as those who tested positive had to quarantine themselves, whilst those who were exposed also had to isolate themselves. The medical workers tasked to hold the fort were overworked, understaffed, and inadequately resourced. Frontline workers such as doctors, nurses, and health extension officers have been sacrificing their health, time, and resources to attend to patients until recently, when they realized that no one is taking care of their welfare. Doctors of the Engau Memorial Provincial Hospital called a press conference on the 25th of March as a last resort to get a response from the Morobe Provincial Health Authority on their long-standing issues. National Doctors Association Morobe President Dr. Barry Mutan said they have been pursuing the manpower issue for years.
So far we've written 9 or so petitions, and we've consistently maintained this issue of staff shortage. They need to seriously recruit health workers, not just doctors, but all other caliber of health workers. Micro doctors and definitely plus however there is few of us, and it's difficult to find one out in the open market. But there are some that have expressed interest to come here, but that process to get them here is going on too long.
Morobe's health situation with the sit-in protest by Engau doctors was only the tip of the iceberg. Soon after the doctors walked off their jobs, health extension officers and nurses raised their voices in frustration as they are bearing the brunt of Engau's partial closure. These public health workers are forced to treat patients with limited resources and understaffed facilities.
Over 40 doctors at the Engau Memorial Provincial Hospital walked off their jobs on Wednesday, the 31st of March at 4:06 p.m. Their grievances were manpower shortage, substantive positions, and non-payment of gratuity benefits for contract workers. The following morning, health extension officers and nurses spoke to lay media, voicing similar concerns. When Engau scaled down its services due to an increase in COVID-19 infected staff, the HEOs and nurses shouldered the extra burden for 3 weeks until they couldn't any longer. Nurses Association Morobe President Siling Awasa said they are speaking up because the long-standing problems of staff shortage, ill-equipped health facilities, and inadequate medical drugs and consumables will directly affect citizens. All these issues, compounded with COVID-19, are hampering the effective delivery of service by the public health workers, which means patients suffer even more.
How are we going to address those issues? Because with COVID-19, you need emergency drugs, you need oxygen, you need specialist medical officers and nurses to attend to any emergencies that will happen in the rural areas. And for us as public health officers, we are already seeing what is going to happen, and we can't sit back and wait. So we have to come public because it's really hard to get our bureaucrats and politicians to really come down and see the issues of health service delivery. right in the community, into the districts. So while the surge is here in Lake, we are coming here to raise our voice so that we will be given the resources that we need to combat the disease, make sure that we control it here so it doesn't get into our rural districts.
Nurse Awasa emphasized that they are under-resourced, they have no funding to even carry out awareness in the communities, and they have an aging workforce that is straining under the COVID-19 surge.
And most of our health workers have already been infected. It is affecting the daily operations of the COVID center, also our health facilities in the city especially. How do you do the social distancing when you have very small facility? How can you do the screening away from other patients who are vulnerable to catch the infection? The facilities are very congested. There is not enough privacy for the patient. How do you attend to emergencies when there is an emergency? A patient needs resuscitation, oxygen. How do you attend to them? We have to beg to get resources to work. Why? Why do we go begging? We are service providers. We are skilled, experienced in our work. We just need you to provide us with the resources to do our job. So we can do our job diligently, and we can help to stop the infection from spreading, stop the diseases increasing. But we already have big problem with TB, we already have big problem with malaria. The maternal mortality is not improved, rate is not improving. And then with COVID here, it's really complicating the situation. And we're here to speak up because in the next few weeks or so, months, we will have the outbreaks of these other diseases that are already here.
Morobe's Nurses Association president said COVID-19 is capitalizing on the inefficiencies of PNG's service delivery, adding it is those with comorbidities, people with more than one disease or condition, who will be greatly affected.
So we are here to tell the government that we need the funding to do the job. The people have voted for them, and we need those resources to come and save the people. We are begging and crying, and stress is just killing us just thinking about all these things. So the government, right from the national level, right down to the districts, must give us the funding to do our job, you see.
The nurses and health extension officers requested an audience with the Morobe Provincial Health Authority on Wednesday, the 7th of April. However, Chief Executive Officer of the Health Authority, Dr. Kipas Binga, asked them to defer the meeting as he had other commitments to attend to. The public health workers, who make up 40% of the workforce at Engau and 60% in the 9 districts of Morobe, are strategizing on their next course of action.
When we come back, forest restoration, a path to recovery and well-being. Welcome back. Forest restoration, a path to recovery and well-being of the world's natural trees and forests. This theme seeks to raise awareness on how sustainably managed forests provide a wide array of benefits. This theme was agreed to for the year 2021. In Papua New Guinea, custodians of our natural forest habitat, the PNG Forest Authority has taken the lead in ensuring Papua New Guineans are taking ownership and are partners in the PNG FA's quest to restore our forests and protect them from being destroyed or taken without any beneficial returns.
Following the declaration of the International Day of Forests in 2012, The United Nations General Assembly designated the United Nations Forum on Forests Secretariat to facilitate the implementation of the International Day in collaboration with Food and Agriculture Organization, governments and other members of the Collaborative Partnerships on Forests, and international, regional and sub-regional organizations. The IDOF, observed for the first time on March 21, 2013, was established by a resolution of the United Nations General Assembly on December 21, 2012. The occasion is intended to be one of the world's leading global platforms for people with an interest in forests and climate change to share their views and work together to ensure wise use of forests. This global celebration of forests provides a platform to raise awareness of the importance of all types of forests and of trees outside forests.
Somos papa na mama bli yugi wambla DY o wambla kai taro lo planim lo ground. You wambla forester finish. That's the duty and assignment that God gave us from day one inside the Garden of Eden. And give him tubana marina, tubana man bli yumi Adam Eve, a very special gift, the strength and the energy to make this earth a paradise.
Tuno Sabuin is taking lead in PNG's path to recovery through forest restoration. In 2014, the PNG Forest Authority, in a policy submission number 194201, sought the National Executive Council recognition of the day for the country. The NEC, in its decision number 223-2014, approved for the International Day of Forests to be observed in PNG with other countries globally. It also directed the relevant state agencies to include this day as an observance day.
Now we have to look back to what we have done all these years. Whether you're being employed in this organization or outside in your family organization, whether you have contributed to beautifying this planet Earth and making it as a garden of paradise.
The IDOF 2021 theme is Forest Restoration, a path to recovery and well-being. It calls to raise awareness on how sustainably managed forests provide a wide array of benefits. Forests cover about 1/3 of the world's landmass. About 1.6 billion people, including over 2,000 indigenous cultures, depend on forests for their livelihood. PNG is home to the world's third largest rainforest, after the Amazon Basin and Congo Basin, thus is comprised of 36 million hectares of forest cover. The total forest coverage equates to 77.8% of the total land area of 46.9 million hectares, and also acknowledged for its biological endemism and diversity. But Sabuin does not believe this to be true, because every day we are losing masses of trees and forest habitats.
We can promote ourselves and boast that we still have about 75% forest cover in our country, but that's not a true record. Every day people cut trees down, not through commercial, not through industrial, but through subsistence agriculture, farming. We cut trees down to make gardens, to develop and to make towns, urbanization and all this. Mining.
He said the Painim Ground Planim DY initiative has set the pace for PNG's reforestation strategy.
What we have embarked on in 2015, our operation Painim Ground Planim DY has paved way for a strategy in reforestation and afforestation, which went through all the approval process through CICC to NEC, and they finally approved the strategy on reforestation and afforestation. And we have a funding base, 20% forest revenue base, which generates 350 million plus for this country through round log export. 20% of that will drive this program. This is our duty. So look around us. We have this environment. Look at the affected community. These are very important people that we must use to achieve our target.
The PNG Forest Authority has challenged itself also to plant 800,000 hectares of trees to meet its set target of Vision 2050. This includes commercial plantations, woodlots and rehabilitation program. But it can only achieve this by getting communities involved, empowering communities to take ownership of planting and protecting trees. Sabwin emphasized on involving the community when he and his team were observing IDOF at Kuriva, just outside Port Moresby.
We have about 8,000 hectares here. Unfortunately, all these years, annually, daily, monthly, give me the walk, lawyer. We come here every day to celebrate IDOF, but we have not looked after the trees. Now we travel on backside here. And we need good people, good managers to manage. And we have to empower our community to look after the trees. Now, what you have done today, how many trees? I don't know how many trees you have planted, stumps you have planted. But we are giving extra work to these people here. We don't have the manpower to do it. We're going to use the community to do it. Have we done enough awareness? No, God. No, God. We are good in Facebook. Talk, and no got action.
The need for forest restoration rises as climate change and other human activities slowly but gradually deplete our forests. Over the years, thousands and thousands of kina have been spent trying to revive and protect our forests. But sustainability of these programs do not last because authorities either lack the drive or capacity, or locals are not empowered enough to keep it going.
We spend a lot of money coming here every year to plant trees, but we are not maintaining it. That's our problem, because we have not empowered our community. Even though the importance of them, we must use them to plant trees to help us achieve our target.
Forests are vital to the planet for many reasons, including providing shelter for more than half of the terrestrial species of animals, plants and insects, contributing to the balance of oxygen, carbon dioxide and humidity in the air, protecting watersheds which supply fresh water to rivers. Forests and trees sustain and protect us, providing clean air and water, safeguarding biodiversity and acting as a buffer against climate change. For many people, they also offer food, shelter and employment. Meanwhile, 1,500 tree stumps were planted in an area that was named the Somare Compartment, in honor of the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. Late Sir Michael was also recognized in this IDOF as the patron of the RED Plus program, or the Reducing Emission from Forest Degradation and Deforestation Plus program. In 2005, late Sir Michael, in his speech at the Columbia University, approved and declared the Coalition of Rainforest Nations in the world, and he was entitled to patron of RED Plus.
After the break, PNG and Barrick sign off instruments to reopen operations at Porgera Mine. Welcome back to Scope. Documents have been signed to effect the reopening of the Porgera gold mine, 1 year after the state decided against renewing the special mining lease to Barrick New Guinea Limited to continue operating. Papua New Guinea and Barrick New Guinea Limited have a new agreement to this new partnership. The new partnership sees a 51% stake for Papua New Guinea. Prime Minister also promised that environmental concerns will not be overlooked.
Better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Minister for Mining Johnson Tuke uttered these words following the recent signing of the Porgera Framework Agreement to begin the process of reopening the Porgera mine. The state recognizes the need to work with Barrick Gold and has agreed to work with the mine operator to commence the new Porgera and work through outstanding issues. The state is satisfied with the new arrangements captured in the new agreement.
That this government is proactive in its approach. This government is proactive in committing itself to deliver what it has meant to deliver. So Wafigolpu, irrespective of the court proceedings, the manner is more or less uniform. Though Barrick have taken us to court, we work in harmony. It's better to work with a devil that you know than the devil that you don't know.
Around the same time last year, the PNG government refused the application by Barrick New Guinea Limited to extend the special mining lease for the Porgera gold mine for another 20 years. Barrick went ahead and pursued legal action to challenge the government's decision and recover any damages BNL suffered as a result of the state's decision. In September of 2020, the National Court dismissed BNL's legal proceeding challenging the government's decision to refuse its SML application. It appealed the decision at the Supreme Court, but the stay order taken on the National Court decision was dismissed. The new Porgera deal, according to Prime Minister Morobe, illustrates his government's intention to take back PNG in that the state has secured a 51-49 deal with Barrick Gold. PM Morobe described this deal as superior. This superior deal, says landowners, the provincial government and the country, represented through the Kumul Minerals Holdings, gets majority in equity.
Project economics, we are getting at 53%. They're getting at 47% from the life of the project. But the first 5 years, benefits skews towards us. We're collecting at 65%. They're collecting at 35%.
Benefits include securing an increased and upfront tax with no concession, an increase in royalties, as well as a better handle on environment and resettlement issues at Porgera and a Barrick exit option. PM Morobe says there is a 7-month window from the signing with work in progress. The Enga provincial government and landowners will have consultation with the state within this period as well.
A gold mine is capital intensive every time going forward. And in that context, we've structured a deal where the next phase of the agreement, where between discussions with the landowners and provincial government, the national government will take place. We will consider all views that is put forward, and we will still work with our diplomat partner going in to ensure we also harvest from a maximum we can in as far as the operational side of things is concerned in the new Porgera going forward.
Barrick carries the cost of 64% to refinance the reopening of the mine, and PNG offers 36%. But Barrick has stepped in to cover that cost too at no interest. The mine is expected to reopen later this year. President and Chief Executive of Barrick Gold, Mark Bristow, said the framework agreement has set the pace for them. He said the sooner BNL gets the administration sorted, the legal documents and SML secured, they can really start mining.
We have some implementation agreement negotiations to settle. Once we've settled that, we've assured the Prime Minister that we'll have the mine up and running to a certain level within 7 months. We have already started recapturing the main pit and the underground, because the rainy season has really been a big rainy season this year.
Time is money for BNL, says Bristow, but he is happy that state and operator have their roles aligned with no conflict, and they've agreed to start with SML 11 and work hard to see if they can make it work. Enga Governor Peter Ipatas has been governor for 23 years, 7 years less of Barrick operating the Porgera mine. He is pleased with new Porgera and says he had left the People's National Congress Party for this very reason, to secure a better deal for his people.
Despite all the clashes that Mr. Bristow and our team had with you, it's all for the benefit of our people. It's not personal. The Prime Minister had to represent the country. I had to represent my people. But at the end of the day, we had to get somebody who will deliver for us. And so that is Barrick.
The signed framework agreement is a headline agreement with more to discover and discuss, including the development forum with the people of Porgera, the Enga provincial government, and an outstanding MOA as well. The framework agreement will also be out for public consumption. At this point, the government says it is satisfied, considering the circumstances it is faced with. It has pushed for what it can collect for its people, and Barrick has agreed and respected that.
And that ends another episode of Scope, a kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent the transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance.